Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to take a look at Epic Card Game by Wise Wizard Games. It's a game for 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up. Some people say it's a Magic clone. I'll go over the rules and see what you think. Okay, the setup is pretty straightforward. The basic set is 120 cards. Each player is dealt 30 cards. There's these tokens. You take those out and set them aside. You can tell they're tokens because they have a monster on each side. So those are ones that get summoned into the game. So just put those aside where the players can reach them and deal each player 30 cards. The rest of the cards are put back into the deck. There's enough cards for a 4-player game. So on a 2-player, you only use 60 of those 120. Each player gets 30 life to start with. And the way you win, I'll just say the goal now is to either get your opponent down to 0 points or get to the point where you run out of cards to draw. You win if that happens. Each player draws 5 cards. Let player 2 draw 5 cards too and just look at what's in that hand. And then before you play, you determine who's going to go first. It could be with a dice roll, a coin toss, however you want to do it. And then you can do a mulligan phase. A mulligan phase, before you go, you look at all your cards. Any cards you want to discard, you put on the bottom of your deck and draw new cards, and then you lose a life per card. I'm not a big fan of the mulligan rule, but it's there if you play. There's 2 types of cards. There's events and champions. So champions are your monsters that you attack with. Each champion has an alignment, which is a color. I believe there's 4 colors. They have a cost. The cost, every card has a cost. It'll either be 1 or 0. And basically you can spend 1 per turn. If you don't spend it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't carry over. If you do spend it, well, then you spend it. So like I have 2 cards that have 1 gold cost here. I can only use 1 of those this turn. And then next turn you can use the other. 0 cast, you can play all of those in 1 turn if you want. The champions also have amount of damage they do and amount of defense. When they attack, they'll attack the player, and then just like in Magic, the player can choose to block with creatures or take the damage. So, you know, if a creature blocks this card, it would take 7 damage, and it would deal damage here. And if it dealt more than 5, it would kill this creature. If it's not blocked, it would do 7 to the player, just like in Magic. They also have some abilities, like this one has Blitz. Blitz is similar to Haste in Magic, where they can attack on the first turn. Breakthrough is similar to Trample, where any damage that isn't blocked goes to the player. Tribute is an ability that comes into play when the creature is played. So wild champions, which would be anything saying the word wild there, get a bonus when this one comes into play. And then recall would be able to use your 1 gold that you get for the turn to call this guy back into your hand. So that's a sample of a creature, or a champion. And now an event. Events are kind of like instants in Magic. They can be cast during your turn or during a certain point in your opponent's turn. This one, for example, costs 0 to play. Target champion gains breakthrough, +4 attack, +4 defense. Or you can pay 1 gold and draw a card. Okay, so now that's kind of the gist of the 2 types of cards. So the first thing that happens in a turn is you lose any remaining gold you had and gain new gold. So basically, every turn both players start with 1 gold that they can either spend or not spend. To be honest, if I had designed this, I would make it more like you have 1 action point that you could use instead of thinking of it as a piece of gold. But whatever, that's the terminology, right? The second thing you do, you draw a card and you prepare any cards you have in play, which basically means untapped, because when you attack with a creature, they're tapped. When you block, they're flipped over. So let's say this guy was in play and tapped. You would just untap him, just like in Magic. Prepare, it's called in this game. And then you can start playing cards. So if you've got creatures or champions, you want to play them. So like this guy, we would play the Sage Human Champion. Takes 0 to cast, so you just play it, and has Blitz, which is the same thing as Haste. It also has this recycle ability, which doesn't matter. Banish a card from target player's discard pile. Banish means taking a card and putting it on the bottom of the deck. I'm not sure why you would want to do that, because... Oh, wait. Yeah, I could see why you would want to do that. Because if you run out of cards first, you win. Okay, but so we'll put this guy in play. Everyone has something called deployment, which is the same thing as summoning sickness. They can't attack, and they can't do anything that will expend them, which means tap, basically. We've got an event, put a human token into play. Your champions get +1 attack this turn. I think I'm actually going to do that now, because even though I don't have anything that can attack, well, I might. Maybe I have something with haste. But anyhow, so you would play this event, and it has this recall ability, which I think we talked about before, right? You can spend a gold and get it back in your hand. So we'll play that. We'll get a human token. And yeah, my champions get +1 this turn. Well, this one has Blitz, so he actually will attack. This wild event, target champion gains +4. Okay, so we'll do that since he can attack. And now we can spend our 1. And honestly, I think I would play this one with Blitz also. And tribute your wild champions. Do we have any other wild champions? We don't. So we'll play this. This card stays in my hand. And then I would attack. So you declare, unlike Magic, you don't want to attack with more creatures than once. Actually, when there's no blockers, it doesn't matter. But if you attack with, say, 2 creatures, and one of them is blocked by your opponent, the whole attack is blocked. So that's where it's a little different than Magic. So it's best practice in this game to attack with 1 at a time. And since we've got this one with Blitz, it will attack. And now the opponent can assign blockers and do events if they have any events. Now, we haven't looked at the opponent's hand. The opponent does have one. Put a zombie token into play. That's an event. That looks like the only card this opponent could play. Now, I'm going to do that if I'm this opponent, because there's a 4... You know, there's a 6 damage coming through. There's a 7 over there, though, that'll probably attack. But so player 2 is going to cast this zombie event, because events can be cast during your opponent's attack phase. So put a zombie token into play. Creatures can block when they're first played. They just can't do tap things. So let's find a zombie token. Put the zombie token into play. Declare a block. When you declare a block, you flip it over. And now the damage is dealt. So this one does, what did we say, 4, 5, 6 damage to that zombie token. Zombie token goes to the graveyard. Discard pile, sorry. But tokens don't go into the discard pile. They just go back to the token pile over here. So now player 1's turn again. Player 1 will not be able to attack with this human token, but this bellowing minotaur does have Blitz, so it can also attack, and it will attack for 7. Nothing player 2 can do about that, so player 2 will be at 23 life points. And then the turn's over. So when you say your turn, you're done with your turn, you say you pass, and then the next player has an option to do something else. And oh shoot, I didn't see that. They could have used that. Oh well, they'll use that next turn. Oh, and they had ambush. Well, so I didn't look at these too well, but that's okay. Okay, so now player 2 won't do anything, and it'll be player two's turn. So let's look at player two's hand. Player two has this event, put 3 zombie tokens into play. And it does cost the 1. Tribute, recycle, that's just a champion with 0 that they could play. Ambush means they can be played anytime. Loyalty 2 would give them haste. So to do the loyalty, if you have 2 other green cards, you can show them and gain that ability, but they don't. And then we've got this one with 9, 1 casting cost, 9 attack. So that's a pretty good one. So now it's player two's turn. Player two would prepare the cards, which mean untap anything, and then draw a card. Let's put their discard there. Okay, so I think player two will want to play this one, the White Knight, which gives you a tribute to draw a card. Let's see if we have loyalty too. And no loyalty, so that ability gets ignored. But that will come into play. And it has a tribute of draw a card. So tribute is what gets played right when it comes out. Okay, and they used their 1 gold coin. So these other 3, all these you can't really use, but they can still play this. And this is an Ogre Mercenary. Tribute recycle, we won't use that right now. So it's a 4/3 attacker, so it'll just be right there. They have nothing with blitz, so they can't attack. So now they say they're done. When they say they're done with their turn, the next player does have an option to play something. And if it's your turn, each player returns all champions in their discard to play without triggering loyalty or tribute abilities. Yikes. Okay, well, player 1 will pass, and that is the end of player 2's turn. I'll do just a couple more sample hands to show you how it goes. So now player 1 goes again, your gold is forfeited, and you got a new gold, so you can do 1 gold. You draw and prepare. We drew a Time Walker. Loyalty 2, return all other champions to their owner's hands. Well, we don't really care too much about that, but what we do care about is that it's a 10/10. Then you prepare your creatures. The soldier can now attack this turn too. And in my hand, I have 1 gold to spend, so I'm going to do the Time Walker, which is a 10/10 attacker. We cannot do the loyalty ability. We'll just put it into play. Now we declare attacks, and you want to go 1 at a time, like I said, because of the blockers. And each players have a gold, so player 2 can play any of these. So let's actually see if they want to do that. They might want to do this one with ambush, because ambush means it can play during your opponent's turn. They won't be able to do that. They won't be able to do that. But they will be able to do this, put 3 zombie tokens into play. So when they need blockers, I think we're going to do that. So we'll have that card ready for player 2. Okay, so player 1 is going to attack with, whoops, this one's done. A 2, so we've got a 2/3. We can't attack with a 7, so they don't have a lot they can attack with, and that's a 9, and that's a 4. So really, oh my goodness, anything player 1 attacks with will be killed by that if it blocks. So I don't think it's a good idea to attack for player 1. So player 1's going to say my turn's over, and before he passes, player 2 gets, and I say he because it's me, before player 2, so player 1 is going to pass, and then before the turn is over, player 2 can decide a move. Player 2 still, I think, will play this one for their 1 since it's got ambush, and then that way it won't have deployment sickness or deployment next turn. So now player 1's turn is over, and now it's player 2's turn. Player 2 draws a card. I think we'll hold on to that ambush. can play one card. Oh, you got to play this. So player 2 uses their gold. They play that big thing. And now they're ready to do the attack phase. So can't attack with that one, can't attack with this. So first off, player 2 will attack. Which way did you tap it? You tap it that way. They'll attack with a 9/9 attack. Player 1 will block. And if player 1 has any other cards to play, they do have this draw 2 cards. Player 1's going to actually do that before damage is assigned. And that's when you can do events. During attack before damage is assigned. Or, yeah, events. So that uses player 1's gold for this turn. Player 1 draws 2 cards. Is there anything there that would help? There's not anything that would help this attack. So now player 2 will attack with another creature, champion. Player 1 was stupid. Player 1 could have blocked with that. So now they look at what player 1's got. This 10/10, they know will kill anything that attacks, so they're not going to do any more attacks. So player 2 says their turn is over. This human token, it's a token, so it goes back to the token pile instead of the discard pile. And I'll do just one more turn and then wrap things up. So it's player 1's turn. Player 1 would prepare, but there's nothing to prepare. We got the 1 gold back. Player 1 can play a good human champion. Gain 4 tribute. You'll gain 4 health when it's played. And loyalty, target champion gains unblockable and untargetable. We actually do have enough for the loyalty, so that's cool. Of course, that doesn't do you any good when they don't have blitz, so they can't attack. Oh, target champion. Okay, so we'll play that. That takes 0 to play. We show that we've got 2 for the loyalty. Player 2 can study those cards all day long. And then this Time Walker will be made unblockable and untargetable this turn. So that's cool. And with the 1, and now we'll play this. Oh, hey, and I got 4 life back. So we'll go over here, put 34 health. Can play this one. It's a 1/2 champion. It's got recycle. There's nothing to recycle. And gain 3 health. So we'll put it right there. And then with the 1 gold left, I think I actually want to hold on to this one in case I need a blocker. So keep that in the hand. And now the attack phase. We'll just start right away with the Time Walker because it was made unblockable. So it attacks, and player 2 has to take the 10 damage right away, which puts player 2 down to 13. And now for another attack, there's no other attacks that player 1 would want to do because you've got a big blocker there. So then player 1 would say, I'm passing. Player 2 could decide if they want to play anything. They do have 1 gold to spend, and this one has ambush. So they're actually going to they'll play this one so that they can draw a card. And they draw a card, and then the turn is over. So now we'll do player 2, and then we'll wrap it up. So they reset their gold counter, they untap their cards, they draw a card. They've got a 0 they can spend here, an Evil Demon Champion, Airborne, Ambush, and Blitz. Gonna play that for sure. And with the 1 they have, they'll save the ambush. They're going to play Banish Target Champion, even if it's unbanishable. That champion's controller puts a wolf token in play. So they'll play this. It costs the 1. And to banish, you put it on the bottom of the deck. So they want to banish the big 10/10. So this card goes to discard. This card from player 1 goes under the deck. It's called break if it goes to discard or gets killed, and it's called banish if it goes under the deck. And then player 2 will announce their attacks. They've got the 12, so they'll start right away with the big 12, because it's got breakthrough, which is the same as trample. So player 1 could block with as much as they want, but they don't have enough. Player 1 doesn't even have enough. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If they blocked with everything, they couldn't do 12 damage to that even. So player 1's like, well, I don't know what to do. I guess I'll not do anything, because anything it blocks with will die. So player 1 would just take the damage and still be in the lead. And player 1's got to find a way to kill that card, doesn't it? So player 1 would have 22. And then, oh, that's just that. And then player 2 could attack with, say, this one. It's a 5, 5. And this would block it. So you flip them over when you block. Oh, it should also be worth mentioning, if they have an expendable ability where you tap them to do it, they can still do that when they're blocking. I don't have any cards out like that right now. But so this 7, 5, and that's 5, 5. So they would actually kill each other. And now both players can do any events they want. There's nothing to do, so although this one doesn't have ambush. So player 1 will play that, and that uses player 1's gold. So now that's it. Goes to discard. Player 2 will attack with one more creature. I think this is the one I just played, wasn't it? I don't remember. No, that's the one I just played. So now they'll attack with this 9. So, and that 9 does not have anything, so player 1 would just block with this. That would kill this. And player, there's a 4, so player 2 won't attack anymore, because anything they attack with could be blocked by player 1. So that's how an attack works. That's how the game works. You go until you get down to 0, till you get your opponent down to 0, or until you can no longer draw any cards. I know I said that before, but just say the winning conditions again. There are a whole bunch of other little abilities in the book, but they're all pretty straightforward. Like, you know, I kind of glossed over recycle, but to recycle, you may banish 2 cards in your discard pile. If you do, draw a card. I don't like that ability, really, because you want to run out of cards. So if you're putting more cards in your deck, plus you're putting them on the bottom of your deck, aren't you? You know, there's lots of abilities. Some of them are real similar to Magic. So now that makes me want to say my thoughts real quick. This is really similar to Magic. So why would you play this and not Magic, right? Well, because you all use the same box of cards. You don't have to build decks. So it is a nice quick game. Setup is nothing. So it's easy. It's quick. And if you like older Magic where it's a lot more combat based with a couple of instants and sorceries, this has that feel. To me, not really having the deck building, you know, you could go either way. There are optional rules, I believe, where you can do deck building, and I think there's actually expansions too, so maybe there's a more deck building component. But for what it is, if you want to pick up this game, it's pretty cheap. I think it was like 15 bucks maybe. It's a good quick game to play while you're sitting around the coffee shop or the game shop waiting for your other friends to show up. It lacks a little bit of strategy. It's so combat based, so you got to make sure you attack with the right creatures and stuff. And I've played some games where, you know, you won in a couple of turns it seemed like, and then other ones that went a little longer. Like this one, this guy with 12-12 and breakthrough, he'd be really hard to kill, so he'd end the game pretty quick if we did a few more rounds. But that is it for this game. If you have any questions, leave me a comment, and I'll see if I can answer them, because I might have, you know, I glossed over some of the abilities, but that's okay. Would I recommend this? Maybe. If you, yeah, maybe. That's all I'll say. It's fun enough. I played with my kid a little bit. That'll do it though for this video. I'll be back with another one soon. So I hope you're having a great December. Hope you're having a great weekend if you're watching this on the weekend. And I will be back soon with another video, so thanks for watching.